up here south of Cambodia. I think the last time I was here was like a year ago. I'm still alive, still riding bikes, just not doing a good job of making videos and uploading them. Bunch of changes. New bike is in. I'll do a proper bike check at some point. Just swapped up the cockpit last ride. I was getting some creaks from the old stuff. So no more gold bars, gold stem, but super awesome North Shore billet stuff. Yeah, I've had the bike for about 2 months now. A bunch of setup tweaks and getting used to it and working out some details with the wheels, but I think I've got it together now. Maybe play with headset spacers a little bit, playing with bar roll a little bit, like seat angle, little tiny stuff, but I think I'm pretty much set. I'm still getting used to the Fox 38 up front tuning stuff. I'm not giving up the Espresso series. I'll get back to that. The one spoiler, I was kind of hoping that I was going to buy the bike and buy myself a win over Dale. Didn't happen. Turns out the rider plays a bit of a part in that. So I'm actually going to have to continue trying, but I'll keep at that. I'm just a little burned out on Espresso right now after the winter, and I'm looking forward to getting up to the higher stuff that I couldn't ride through the winter. I've been trying to get the bike as quiet as I can. We'll see how this ride goes. There's some chunk that'll expose any remaining rattles. A lot of stuff to talk about for all the mechanical stuff I've gone through in the last 4 or 5 months on the bike. Stuff that's broken, warranted, fixed, replaced, all this stuff. So yeah, more to come. But now, as always, I am running late and I have a meeting to get to, so let's do this. Oh, a little muddy. Haven't been riding as much double black, and it's always a bit of a shock when you get back to real heavy tech after riding kind of the easy single blacks for a while. But it's good training. Whistler opens in a week. Need to remember how to ride. Tough stuff. I feel like there's a lot more big rock through there than there was last year. Rains must have melted away a lot of the fine dirt. clicking is not actually a bad sound in this case. I mean, I'm not sure I love it, but it's not. Nothing's broken. That's the new local, semi-local rear hub tire in, which is pretty cool. It very, very local in terms of design. Manufacture involves Chinese factories, but small scale. Nice spot for a break. It's a cool rear hub. I'm not sure I would have found it without Archibald mentioning the name. It's silent, like my Onyx. I got stories about the Onyx, but there aren't too many silent hubs. This bike, the Archibald, needs a 142 rear hub, which really does limit your options. And I was really trying to go Canadian, or Canadian-ish, as much as I could. So that limits it further. So there's a few options, but most of them are loud, and I just don't get along with loud hubs. It just feels like putting a playing card in the spokes when I was a kid kind of thing. And I feel like I'm more on top of my bike maintenance if I can hear the bike and fix the stuff that's creaking. So I found Tyrin, and this is the Shogun Silent. It's pretty cool. It's got kind of a built-in O-chain thing that isn't as heavily advertised on their website, but there's 2 different levels of engagement. I think it's a 4 or 4.5 degree kind of at slow speed. Once you hit a high speed, those pawls disengage. And then you've got I think it's a 6 degree, maybe 6.5 degree something, for higher speed to kind of reduce pedal kickback and kind of act like an O-chain. I think it's a constant as well. There's some trick engineering going on in there where you don't get kind of the variable engagement. It's always a set amount of engagement. So it's pretty cool. I don't know if I can actually notice the O-chain. There's still a little pedal kickback on this bike that, but the silence I definitely notice. It spins pretty freely. The only downside is there's that click. That click is the kind of low speed, higher engagement pawls re-engaging. So if you come from high speed and then go to put some power into the cranks, if you've gone fast enough to disengage that, and I don't know what the crossover speed is, but if you've gone fast enough, then it'll click back in. So it feels like a creak, or maybe like getting a rock in your chain kind of feel of it, something popping free. But as long as you know it's coming, I would be happier if it didn't exist, but the feature set's pretty cool. And I like that it's Canadian designed. And I love that it's silent. Oh, I remember that drop. I also remember some really sketchy versions of this drop. Maybe not for my first time down. That's annoying. I had that last year, but I also remember I landed at one point with my front tire right on this thing, which was terrifying. So always next time. There's a lot of looseness on the trail right now that if I had better body position and cornering would be really fun to have the bike move around, but I'm not that good. So probably a recipe for bending the bike in the bushes, which is not the best way to get home quickly when you're on a deadline. Oop. Even that was sketchier than it should have been. Oop. Yeah, I got stories of everything that broke. I warrantied the Onyx hub, I warrantied the Noble rim, both on the rear in quick succession through the fall. Both companies were great, no complaints, like super on top of it, super responsive, but you're still down, you're mailing stuff back and forth. There's pieces that are covered by warranty and pieces that are kind of, wear items or just cost of doing business that come back my way. So you got to get a wheel rebuilt somewhere, and if you can't do that yourself, you're paying somebody. So yeah, there's a lot of downtime, some real warranty issues and quality control issues here and there. Still like the companies, but it really reinforced to me, combined with trade war and politics, how much I want to stick with both Canadian companies and very local companies. There's really something to be said, you know, as I'm working through settling in issues on the Archibald. They're local. Like after I get the kid to bed in the evenings, I can rush out there if they're working late and just talk to them, have them take a look at it, go over stuff, which is really nice. And if there's a problem, they're right there and super supportive. And the other companies are supportive too, but they're not right there. And so that means you're a email away and mailing stuff back and forth. One day I'll get this. Doesn't look too bad now. It's just this line. But yeah, that pedal catch and down into the pile of sticks is what I'm picturing. Once you're there, this part's fine. So in that saga I just had, maybe I'll just say it all now instead of making a separate video that you don't really want to watch a separate video on that. I had some problems. The Onyx hub locked up on me and kind of became a fixie. They diagnosed it, got me new parts out. I figured out how to take it apart, put it back together, fix it myself, which was cool. And they were great through that process. That was all on them, which is great. But got it back together, noticed a little nick in my rim, took a closer look, realized I'd, at some point in the past, cracked my noble rim. To be continued after this move. Whew. A little less confident now than I was last year. And this ride around actually has a gnarly move. I've watched two people crash on it. Don't judge me. I'm going to continue the story and walk this for my first ride down just to take another look at it. I've seen people go down right here, catching a wheel on that notch, and then somewhere through here I've come offline and ended up on this. I guess you can come across that shelf and come down. I've never done that. I always come this side, and that's kind of jank. I've stared at that big rock feature for quite a bit of time, but I've watched way better riders than me have a very sketchy time coming down it. It's like, it's all good, and then once you hit that little bump, pick up a ton of speed through here, and yeah, I'm still mucking with setup changes in this bike too much. Even this is sketching me out this morning. But yeah, anyway, I noticed the crack in the rear rim, got it to Noble, they got that warranted for me. All that was good, but then I had to have that built up. Got that built up. That was good for a couple of weeks, maybe a month. That's not true, it might have been 2 months. It felt shorter, but it might have been 2 months. Riding a little sketchy today, talking and riding on a double black. I'm gonna get through this and I'll try to finish the story. Got through that warranty process. First time, that was all good. And then 2 months later, same damn thing happens again. Hub locks up, becomes a fixie. I had this last year. I had this feature last year. Yeah, I still got it. Just not fully blind. Yeah, Onyx Hub locked up a second time. Went back to them. This time they were a little bit more curious of like that shouldn't happen. The first one they were willing to write off to like slight mistake in assembly. Second one in that many months, so like something else is wrong. Can you send us the wheel? Sure, send the wheel to the States. They, which isn't cheap and insurance and all that. They take a look at it. They're pretty sure there's a machining tolerance with kind of the inner sleeve. They offered to replace that. At the same time, I got this bike and realized I needed a 142 instead of a 148 rear hub. Swapping it all out was going to be more money than it was worth. So they recommended, and I agreed, just, warranty what was in place there. They cover shipping, send it back to me, and then I have to go buy a new rear hub. So I ended up with a new rear hub, and then Tyren was good enough to help me swap things back and forth and put their hub on my existing new Noble rim that had just been laced up. And they managed to save the spokes and all that, which is nice. And so now I've got a backup set of wheels, a really nice, fully warranted Onyx Hub rear wheel that'll be on my old now backup bike. And this one's all good to go. So it's been a bit of an Aussie. And then the bars and stem have just been creaking for probably about a year. And no amount of like really careful cleaning with alcohol and re-greasing bolts lasts for more than a ride. And I'm just afraid that something's not quite right in there, and a stem or bar snapping is just too big a deal. So I have these PNW bars, ultra high rise, super compliant, that I bought during the sales in the winter that I've been waiting to go on. And yeah, new NSB North Shore billet stem that I didn't like the look of when I first saw it online. Now I feel really confident in it. It's really chunky. Torque specs are actually way higher than the race face, which is interesting. The race face one always kind of slipped on me on the steer tube, and a little bit when I first put the bars in too. When I torqued it correctly, I thought my torque wrench was just out, so I gave it the old good and tight, just reef on it. But I think that was 5 Newton meters for the stem bolts, and the North Shore billet is way bigger bolts. It's like a 5 mil Allen key instead of a 3.5 or 4. Which doesn't sound like much, but they're big chunky bolts, and 8 Newton meters. So it's on there good and tight. It feels solid. It's quiet. It's really nice. Okay, get your head on straight. And then there's this one. Oh, both of those are a rush on a new bike after not having done them in a while. I had those on lock by the end of last year when I was blasting out laps of this, but whew, I'm still getting used to, I feel like I was just getting used to my old bar stem on this bike with the spacers that I've got and the new fork, and I was just starting to feel comfortable. And I swapped it out like 2 days ago for this, and now I feel like I'm relearning the bike. It's a lot of stack height. It really changes the feel, really changes how it feels turned in, like turning in on the top of that steep there. It's a weird feeling. But as soon as you're pointed down something steep, it feels really good. I'm just trying to get used to what I have to do with my body position, because it's much more upright default position, and I don't know in that position how much weight I've got over my front wheel. I'm also on different tires. I had read the hype and listened to the hype on bike podcasts and stuff for the Conti tires, the Crepitals, and they sounded like the perfect tire. I really wanted to check them out, so I finally did that. That was itself a little dicey. Turns out on the current frame model with Archibald, a little bit more limited tire clearance than they'd like, and not in the direction that I expected or you expected. So width-wise, anything will fit. It's fine. The height, like it kind of comes up and impacts where the gearbox is if it's too tall. And they're finding both a lot of variation in a lot of companies' tires, more than they promise, and that varies a little bit with inner rim width, because it depends how sort of wide you're spacing the tire. But they're also finding, just within the same batch on the same rim, different heights. So I think they're planning on just lengthening the seat stays a little bit in future batches to make this less of a problem, since tire manufacturers are going this way. But the Cryptotol rear was one of the ones. The Xylitol fit cleared fine, but the Cryptotol was hit and miss. But I just heard such good things about the match setup and like long-term wear and grip and all this stuff, rolling resistance, toughness of the sidewall. I was like, it sounds like the product that fixes all of the issues that I have. It was too good to pass up. So took a gamble, and it cleared fine. I shouldn't say fine. I have a photo of, I'll put that in the video. I have a photo of it just barely clearing. It's sitting there, the little like spiky mold release nub things on a brand new tire are actually contacting the gearbox. So when it spun, it really did sound like a playing card in the spokes sound for the first half of the first ride until they all wore off. But clears fine, feels great, but it's just one more setup change of like, I don't know how much grip I have in all these conditions. I know what my old tires were, but I don't know about these. One of the things, there's really kind of everything that appealed to me on the new tires, but one of the things was, I don't feel like reviews talk about kind of long-term usage of tires as much and how they wear, but a few of them did, saying they thought peak grip, so these are the downhill casing, super soft, both of them. They said peak grip felt, so first off, weight is about the same or a little bit lighter, I think, than a Assegai DHR downhill casing. Grip seems to be a little bit worse than a max grip when it's brand new, and then way better once it's got a bit of wear. I mean, like the Conti having way better characteristics once it's worn in a bit. And considering I'm not a downhill racer throwing on new tires all the time, the worn state really does matter a lot more. They're also supposed to wear slower, so I guess you're going to spend more time in that worn state because you're just literally going to get more tire life out of them. And that actually all sounded perfect, even less grip up front. The brand new max grips felt great on the downhill, I won't lie, but I immediately noticed every time I swapped a rear tire, it felt like I was dragging something on the climbs up. So a little less stick, a little more consistency through the life, longer life, better rolling, because it's always hard to tell. I don't know if that's actually tread pattern, but I think the better rolling is the tire carcass is so much stiffer. Anyway, I ran out of time just after this. Had to rush back to a meeting that I just barely made it to in time. My fitness is definitely a little rougher than I thought it was. So this route took a little bit longer, and I didn't have footage from the last little bit. But it's great to be back recording, great to be back editing videos. I really do enjoy this stuff, so I'm going to get back to it. And I think next one up is probably a little bit of a quick rundown on equipment on the bike. I'll spend a bit more time showing that off and what I've done and why I've done it. And hopefully get up to Whistler for opening day. Hopefully check out Gross Mountain Bike Park for opening day. And then, we'll get back into the swing of things with the Espresso series and everything else going on. See you next time.